exist. You're real. The universe exists. It's real. You're a human being. You're a speck of dust, a grain of sand in the entirety of the universe that is. There is nothing special about you. The way we treat animals here is exactly how you are. Every human being, every living creature on this planet is equal. Is equal. God. God. God.
Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
Do you know what a prophet is?
Hello YouTube, people of the universe, LJ the Juice Man here, and welcome down to the rabbit hole. Today I want to discuss the horrid realistic epidemic that is existential crisis. I'm pretty sure the vast majority of humans have experienced one throughout the duration of their life. I'm pretty sure it's a unified human conscious thought we all develop when we come into the reality that is life. We're literally just a rock floating in space. With the theory of Albert Einstein, there is just an invisible fabric sustaining the weight of the earth as we know it, causing a massive bend in space-time. The universe is constantly expanding, just like us, just like Earth, just like the sun. The universe will cease to exist, and the only thing that will remain are black holes, proton stars, and everything else is numbered. Everything else, despite those things, are numbered. No one knows what's gonna happen after life. The possibilities are endless. Sure, there is a possibility that we might delve into a realm where heaven does exist, but you also have to be conscientious of the inverse of that, and that we also just might be nothing. So basically what an existential crisis is when somebody questions if their life has meaning, purpose, or value. It may be commonly linked to depression, not necessarily all the time, or any type of negative speculations on life itself. I'm pretty sure even the most religious of people experience existential crisis within their life. I mean, we're humans, we're prone to doubt, and I'm sure at some point they've questioned God. I mean, it's a human instinct. We lose faith, then we find it again. They don't have hope and they find it within God. They find it within the higher consciousness that created us, if there is one. They become content with that. They bury the negative connotations of what could happen, any other possibility, and they bury it deep within their subconscious, and they genuinely believe and become fixated to the thought that if they just follow the moral code that God provided us with, then they will be saved. They become saved with the thought that there actually is a purpose, something I struggle with, and I'm sure I'm not alone with this, and I envy that. You see, I can't tell you if a religious person experiences existential crisis after they become one with God, you know? I'm sure they do, but I'm sure a vast majority of these people genuinely feel that there's a purpose. A lot of things can trigger an existential crisis, whether it be psychological trauma, marriage, the death of a loved one, or even the birth of a child, life-threatening experience, prolonged loneliness, psychoactive drug use, which I've done before. Oh, what you doing over there, bro? It could even be stemmed from mental illness, and many more things can trigger this phenomenon that is existential crisis. The symptoms of an existential crisis can range from anxiety, the overwhelming feeling of just loneliness, becoming disassociated with reality, and feeling out of body the entire time you're going through it. The overwhelming realistic thought that this is real, you're here right now, you are a human being in the flesh, you have a heart that is constantly beating, and also the feeling that you're about to die. So I want to provide my experience with an existential crisis and how I coped with it at the time. So I used to work at a pawn shop for like a year and a half, and I remember this man walking in. He looked very eager to find something, like he was roaming around, rummaging through the merchandise, and then he just turned to me and smiled. And I remember that upsetted me. Like this little fucker had the audacity, to stare at me and provide me a human emotion of generosity. And while thinking this in my mind, he points a finger at me like this. And he turns it around and motions me to come to him like that. Which, thinking about it, that's kind of rude in a way. That's a little rude. But I've had worse working there, so I just assumed he needed assistance with a purchase. And that'd be cool for me just to get my sales number up for that month, like a thought programmed in me, so I could satisfy, the corporate leader, to give him more earnings while we were barely making shit. They gave out like 10 and 15 cent raises, and I didn't even get a raise. I was there for like a year and a half, like, no, that's not the way. I think he was like asking about a speaker, if I could remember correctly. And I remember I giving him a price, and then he kind of like half-assed thought about it. He was like, oh really? Oh yeah. And then he immediately changed the subject. I remember he immediately began talking about religion. And instantly, just like it's a defense mechanism or something, I just instantly became resistant to what he was saying. Anyways, he started talking about his church and spirituality and how he genuinely felt that there was a purpose of him coming to the pawn shop. At first he didn't realize it at the time, but as soon as he walked in there and as soon as he saw me, he knew what the reason for him coming there was. And that was me. And then he started telling me that I needed to seek God, and that he felt this dark presence around me, that I was completely lost, which I was. And he was kind of just telling me all the right things that were, buried within my subconsciousness, and I tried to avoid these thoughts, and he kind of just, brought them out unwillingly. And although thinking about it now, it could have just been a coincidence for him to go in that pawn shop that day. It could have just been merely a coincidence, and his pastor told him, they needed, not him exactly, but just like the people of the church. He like, oh, we need more people to be here. Try to bring more people to the church. Try to invite more people, and God will see you in a better light or something like that. I really don't know. But at that time, I was believing every word of it. I don't know if young boys are just the target for being lost and lonely, and guys just think that they have a dark presence around them all the time. He must have been a salesperson or something, because he was really selling me on his fucking church, dude. I'm telling you right now, I was about to give everything up and pray to God all day. That's exactly what he made me feel like. He was really hitting at a deep insecurity. I genuinely at that time, I felt like there was a darkness roaming around me, and I didn't know the exact path I should go on. And he really hit me deep. At the time, I was battling religion. I was battling and believing God. I was atheist at the time, and I was fighting these demons that I really didn't socialize with anybody. I was kind of just burying these monstrosities within me. Anyways, he kept on talking to me. Anyways, he kept on talking to me. I'm not Brooklyn. Anyways, what the fuck? Anyways, he kept on talking to me about religion, about his pastor, and how this was all fate. And all of a sudden, it just became too real. I think the fact that he brought all those emotions out of me, everything shifted. The light intensified. I was looking at his eyes, and I was like, damn, why does he not look real to me? Why do these eyes that are on his sockets not look like his eyes right now? You feel me? That's what I was genuinely thinking. Why do I keep saying genuinely? I don't know. I was like, is this fucking fate, dude? Is this guy really fucking here fucking because of God right now? Is this fate? Anyways, I started to fucking hyperventilate, right? And the world was spinning on its axis. I felt the fucking world spinning on its axis. So I felt lightheaded. So I just put my head down on the counter that was right beside me, and just watching this made him laugh hysterically. Looked at him, man, I was probably fucking dying and shit. This man was laughing at me.
Don't fight it, man. Don't fight it now, man. Just let it all in.
Boy, fuck you. Get away from me, dude. And I started counting. I started to just try to bring myself down to the realistic plane. And after a couple minutes, I felt level-headed enough for maybe a couple minutes to just hopefully make him leave in time for me to just not lose my shit completely. But no, it got progressively worse. All of a sudden, like, he just returned to normal state. This was probably the scariest part, because he was laughing at me. Then all of a sudden I got level-headed, and then he just became fucking just normal. Like, he was loud, and then he just became real.
Do you know what a prophet is? It's a messenger from God. He usually uses a human vessel to speak when another human being in which he feels needs assistance.
Boy, I darted the fuck out of there, man. I had to get myself out of there. So I told him I had to excuse myself, and I went to the back doors. I went to somewhere where he couldn't cross, and I just sat down on the floor, tried to ease my mind, tried to calm myself, and in the background I heard this man fucking laughing again, just losing my shit even more. All of a sudden I had this Buddhist bracelet, right? It flew off my fucking hand. How the fuck does my Buddhist bracelet fly off my fucking hand, dude? What explanation is that? Where is the explanation? It flew off. I had a Buddhist bracelet. A little odd for me to have a Buddhist bracelet and for nothing. Like, let's say, like, I could move my hand like this all day, right? I could lift heavy things at the pawn shop. It just flew off with no movement to the other side of the hallway. So throughout this duration, even with that happening, I just attempted to just assume it was a natural cause. Just assume that the Buddhist bracelet I had on just flew out, and that was just a coincidence. It was coincidence. Fuck you, right? Just coincidence. I tried to bring myself into the realistic plane, into the plane of fucking Netflix shows where money and working is a norm. You know, I tried to put myself into that state of ignorance. You know, the reality of the truth, the reality of what actually is, you know, the actual purity of our primal thoughts, and, you know, the earth and where we stand from a theoretical perspective. That's not where my mind wanted to wander. Eventually the man left and I returned to my normal state, but in all honesty, that moment of my life was very impactful. It definitely left a mark on me in terms of God. And prior to that incident, I was a pessimistic atheist. But looking back at it now, I just don't think I ever believed in the God in terms of biblical standards. There was so much fucking hate in the world and so much fucked up shit happening. My grandmother died of cancer, and you can tell she died with pain and agony. You can just tell by her expression on her face after she had passed that in those last seconds she was here on earth, they were probably the worst moments of her life. I didn't comprehend why God would do that. I didn't comprehend why God would do anything to these people. You know, why is there serial killers? Why are there people who kill other people and it's just okay? War is not okay. Nothing, all this fucked up shit. But what if the God we see doesn't even have morals that we do? What if God isn't even good and he just exists as we do? If everything you know about God isn't even true? We don't know God. We don't know even if there is a God. So why just come to the assumption that God has these fucking humane morals that we develop just due to our conscious thoughts? This higher consciousness, if there is one at that, created the fucking universe. What is beyond the Big Bang? What if the string theory holds true and there's actually other universes out there? Did he create them as well? What if we're not even worthy enough to go to this heaven, this conscientious heaven just in general. Like, what if these morals that we created aren't what we need to abide to? And what if the heaven that exists, what if we're not worthy? No human is worthy to be there. What if there's multiple higher consciousness and they monitor their own universe? What if they're so advanced in their own universe that they created their own universe?
Okay.
But yeah, I noticed after my existential crisis that I needed to find the root problem for my God issue. Because deep down, I didn't want to feel this way. I didn't want to feel all this negativity consume me through my pessimistic nature. It constantly put me in a negative headspace, and it was best to deter away from that. I'm agnostic now, but I stray more into believing that there is a higher consciousness out there, because the universe is just too massive to be just that. But who knows? Maybe it is just that. If I really think about it, my life really did adjust after speaking to that man about God. So who knows, maybe that prophet speech he gave me was real and was an actual way of God trying to speak to me.
Anyway.
So okay, what are ways to cope with an existential crisis for those who don't know and need assistance on trying to cope with this phenomenon? Firstly, I want to tell you that you're not alone, and hopefully the unification that you're not alone will make you feel just that little bit much better. Just completely normal. You're not the only one, and you'll get through it. Trust me. Communication with others. Verbally express yourself with other people, whether it's a friend, family, relative, or even in the YouTube comment section. Just talk about it. I believe it will benefit you immensely. Another one is to attempt to find the root source of what's making you feel this way, whether it's you working a 9-to-5 job or you working too much and you don't feel like you have time to yourself. Try to find the source of it. Think about the reason you're feeling that way, and once you find the source, it will make it that much easier to solve that section of your life. If you're thinking too much about the world and what really is, and if it's causing you to feel some sort of anxiety, trust me, the best thing to do is to avoid any of that. To calm yourself down and try to revert your focus into something more normal. Just watch television, take your mind off of that thought. Trust me, because the more you think about the theories of the universe, the more you feel like you're about to die. Everything becomes more intensified, and I feel like the best thing for me was I just have to accept it. I can't resist anymore. I can't just resist that thought. You have to just accept it. You will be just fine. Trust me. Anyways, thanks for watching, YouTube people of the universe. If you like that video, please hit a thumbs up, or if you had an existential crisis, please hit that thumbs up button. If you've had an existential crisis, if you want to talk about it, please comment down below. I'd be more than interested in reading it. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Sorry, I'm a little sick, I'm a little under the weather. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming into my conscious dimension of the rabbit hole, and I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Dead inside, spend a lot of times looking in his head. Under the assumption love is dead. Alright, just let me be here. Where was I? He was feeling lucky with his hands. And now you seen the vivid pictures in my head. And now it left me in tears. Where was I? He was feeling lucky with his hands. Seen the vivid pictures in my head. I'm under the assumption love is dead. Boom, 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 boom. Where was I? He was feeling lucky with his hands. Seen the vivid pictures in my head. I'm under the assumption love is dead.